good as gold. Tricked again by the heart. The things he always knows. A heart is somewhere.
Hello, hello. Good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Hello, good afternoon. How's everyone doing? Can I get your... Awesome. So my name is Athena Chardelaine. I'm one of the assistant directors of academic advising.
Hi, my name is Ariel Schwalm Levine. I'm also an assistant director of academic advising.
So we are here to spend some time helping you to plan for your second semester. Is everyone excited about picking classes and moving on with their Berkeley education? No? No one's excited? Wow. All right, so we'll spend some time talking to you about how to build your schedule, and then, okay. So the agenda for this evening is, so step one is you'll learn how to build your basic schedule for next semester. So what classes you should pick for your core music, any liberal arts, or for some of you, you might be able to begin some of the courses within the major. From there, you'll have a lovely Sam show you how to officially register online via My.Berkeley, because when you came in as a Berkeley student, your schedule was created for you, so you didn't have to do the guessing and figure out times and locations. That was done for you. That'll be the first and last time. So moving forward, you'll be building your schedule from scratch. So you'll learn how to do so via the online system via My.Berkeley. And then we'll wrap up, and then we will leave time if anyone needs any one-on-one attention, either from myself, Ariel, or one of the Sams.
All right. Cool. All right. So just some quick review for you guys. So we have two programs here at the college. The degree program, which is the Bachelor of Music, it's 120 total credit hours. And then the diploma program, which is 96 total credit hours, and they both take 8 semesters to complete. The main difference is that in the diploma program, you're not going to be needing to take as many liberal arts as you would if you were doing the degree program. And then really quick, the credit limit. So the degree program full-time is 12 to 16 credits every semester, and 16 is the max that you can take. For the diploma program, it is also 12 to 13 for full-time enrollment, and 13 is the max that you can take every semester.
Okay. So in thinking about how to create your schedule, you're probably wondering what classes you should opt for. We are all about having balance, so I know a lot of you are excited about taking your major courses. However, depending on the prerequisites, that's not an option. But we also want to keep in mind that you still have to complete your core music. So moving on to Arranging 1 and Harmony 2, moving on with ear training. For some of you, you could begin tonal harmony and composition 1, even conducting. And then as well as moving on liberal arts. So most of you are taking Introduction to College Writing. So you could continue on with LENG 223, which is a literature course, or opting to take other liberal arts requirements, which include social science, math and natural science, social science, math and natural science, visual studies, music and society, as well as maybe possibly music histories, and then major courses. So for some of you, if you're in songwriting, you might want to begin Basic Keyboard 1. For those who are interested in music business, you might opt to do legal aspects of the music industry. So we encourage you to have a balance, so focusing on all areas. And then if you are in the degree program, obviously focus on all 3 areas, whereas if you're a diploma student, you'll be taking less liberal arts. And then we would encourage you to refer to the major grid. So all of the advisors came in during your lens section, and all of you have the major grids in front of you. So you have an idea of what classes are required for all of these categories.
All right. So do we want to do the SAM review? Me? I do that?
I can do it.
Okay.
Okay, so so this is your lovely major grid. So a lot of you have it. Make sure that depending on if you're a degree or diploma, you're looking at the correct side. Okay, because I'm short. Okay, so obviously this is an example. So this is for a student who's interested in majoring in contemporary writing and production, and their degree student. So the first numbers listed up top that's circled in orange represents the amount of semesters. Typically speaking, it takes students about 8 semesters to finish their major. And keep in mind that with the major grid, it doesn't take into account a student who tested high on the ESPA, brought in any transfer credits. This is just more of a guide. So the numbers up top represents the semesters. And if you go down each semester, you get an idea of what students would typically take in that semester. So if you notice in semester 1, for a student who didn't test high on the ESPA and who didn't bring in any transfer credit, you're really starting from the beginning. So you're starting with your core music in terms of private instruction, ear training 1, music application and theory. And then as you go on each semester, you start to notice that now you're focusing more on your major courses. So just keep in mind, did I miss anything? Nope. And just pay attention to what your catalog year is. So for all of you who are first semester students, your catalog year is 2018 fall.
Yes.
2018 fall.
I was like, what year is it?
No, 2018 fall. So that includes students who are taking classes this summer.
All right, great. So we looked at the major grid, and that's really a good tool to use when you kind of think about moving forward. One of the things I like to do with students is you kind of go down and you can start like checking off or coloring in the boxes of things that you've already done, so you kind of know where you're going to move forward. So cross-check the following courses and the credits on your major grid. Transfer credits and test outs, that's also important. So if you transferred in Intro to College Writing and you're taking communication now, you can cross out that transfer credit. Also say you tested out of PW 111, which is MAT. Now you're in Harmony 2. You could cross out both of those, and next semester you'd be registering for Harmony 3. Okay, so core music. This is part of the core music area, which is your private lesson, harmony, and ear training. So the first option would be another 50-minute lesson. And this is something that I would suggest to all of you because you only get the option to do a 50-minute lesson in your first and second semesters. So the first option for core music would be to do another 50-minute lesson plus 1 ensemble. Or you have the option to do a 30-minute lesson, 1 ensemble, and 1 instrumental lab. So the instrumental labs are any classes that start with the IL and then usually a code for your instrument afterwards. So it might be ILGT for guitar, ILPN for piano, and so on. And like I said, after your second semester, you're no longer eligible for the 50-minute private lesson. So if you really enjoyed having, the almost hour lesson, I would suggest you sign up for another one during your second semester. Okay.
So now in terms of moving on to core music, so if you were in music application and theory, you'll be moving on to arranging 1 and harmony 2. For those of you who started in harmony 2 arranging 1, you would just move on to harmony 3. So just keep in mind that arranging 2 is not a requirement for all the majors. However, it is a requirement for composition and jazz comp. Okay, so just be mindful of the major grid. So if you're wondering whether or not arranging 2 is a requirement for your major, it wouldn't be in the core music section. It would be in the section where it says the major courses. So with ear training, you'll move on. So obviously, if you're in ear training 1, you move on to ear training 2, you move on to 3, 3 and 4. However, if you're in the early stage of ear training 1 and 2, keep in mind that depending on the major that you're intending to major in, they require solfege 1 and 2. So that would be for composition, music education, and music therapy. And then for jazz comp, they require ear training 3 and 4. For all these other majors, you have the option of picking between ear training 3 and 4 or solfege 1 and 2.
But the thing to know about the ear training, you have to do 3 and 4 or 1 and 2. You couldn't do solfege 1 and then ear training 4. You would have to complete the complete sequences. So just keep that in mind.
And also, for those of you who tested into ear training 3 already, but solfege 1 and 2 is a requirement, if you talk with a major 2, they'll work with you because obviously it's not your fault that you are so awesome and tested into ear training 3. So,
okay, cool. So we talked about moving on to the next level of core music, and this is just an example of what the major grids look like. So for composition here, it's kind of blurry and I'm not very tall, but it says ear training 1 and 2 and then solfege 1 and 2, which transpires over here to semesters 3 and 4. But for songwriting, you have the option to do either one. So it's totally up to you depending on your major. But if the major requires solfege 1 and 2, that's just something you want to keep an eye on.
And would you be able to explain what the difference is between ear training 3 and 4 versus solfege 1 and 2?
I don't know a lot about that. Do you, Matt?
All right. Hello. Solfege 1 and 2, basically, it's more classically based, and you do a lot more reading of the alto clef and the tenor clef, and that's great for when you're writing for, orchestral stuff when you're in composition, for example. And ear training 3 and 4 is more of a jazz harmony kind of ear training, basically.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay. And then you'll also want to add in a 3-credit liberal arts. So a typical second semester degree schedule should include at least one 3-credit liberal arts course. So for most of you, if you've taken intro to college writing, the major grid will show that you would take literature next semester. And now for diploma students, you definitely want to check your major grid that you are planning to do, because depending on the major, you will have certain liberal arts requirements. For example, if you are diploma, but you're thinking about doing contemporary writing and production or electronic production and design, those require acoustics, and so you will need to take those. And if you're a transfer or a global partner student and you've transferred in some liberal arts, kind of look at what you already have credit for and then maybe pick something that you haven't done yet. So say you transferred in a social science and your natural science requirement, but you haven't taken a history, maybe you would consider taking a history course in your second semester. Okay. Now, just to continue on for the liberal arts, certain majors have certain liberal arts requirements. So, for instance, film scoring has the X's after the LMSC and the LSOC. So that's the math and natural science and the social science. So that means you can take anything in that category that you're interested in. Whereas for music business, there's specific requirements for the social science and the math natural science, so you don't have as much of a choice. So if you are thinking that you want to be music business, you're going to be required to take principles of economics and data management and statistics for your social science and math natural science requirements. So depending on the major will depend on the specific liberal arts. Like I mentioned earlier, CWP, electronic production and engineering, MP&E, those will have the acoustics for the math, natural science requirements. Some of the other majors like music therapy and music ed will have additional liberal arts requirements, so it's really important that you're checking that major grid, that you know what the requirements are.
Okay. All right. So can we go on berkeley.edu?
Yeah, I can.
All right. So a good way to get a better understanding of what the course entails in terms of liberal arts, we would encourage you to go on Berkeley's website and type in courses. And
Give me 1 second.
okay, so in the course subject number, for example, if you're thinking of what class I want to take for my social science, where it says course and subject number, you can type in LSOC. And it'll bring you to all the different offerings that we have. But just keep in mind that this is a general page that has information about all the classes that we offer, but it doesn't guarantee that we're offering it in the fall semester. You just have to make sure that it's available on My.Berkeley.
And it will show here. So this is a really great tool when you're kind of first thinking about what classes you want, because it'll tell you the semester's offered. So say you were interested into Intro to Cultural Anthropology. It's offered in the fall and spring, and also what the prerequisite is. So you can only sign up for this course if you have the prerequisite. Okay, now I need to get back to the thing. Oops. How do I get that? Oh, here we go.
And just keep in mind that a prerequisite for most of the liberal arts courses is Introduction to College Writing. And depending on the other liberal arts courses, so for example, for the acoustics course, you do have to either take LMSC 130, which is Concept of Mathematics, or you can opt to take the math and logarithms exams, get an 80% or higher on both, and then be able to register for the acoustics class.
What happened? Sorry. Technical difficulties? Okay. Great.
And then finally, for those who are interested in registering for LNG 223, which is literature topics, if you go on the liberal arts page and type in this hyperlink, or just even go on Berkeley's website, go to the liberal arts department, it'll give you a course description for all the topics that'll be offered for the fall for literature. Oh, so we talked about this.
So we already covered this.
We covered.
Yeah, so great. So we actually even use the same example. So just to recap, this berkeley.edu/courses is going to be really helpful when you're kind of wanting to see things in a way that's easy to digest. So, required of, which is great. So say you come across that acoustics course, it'll say required of, and it'll have the majors that it's a requirement for. Electable by all. Certain courses, especially like 400 level major courses, are only electable by students in those majors. The prerequisites, and then also how many credits. So for the most part, all liberal arts courses are 3 credits. So you just want to keep that in mind when you're building your schedule so that you don't go over credits. Okay, so math placement exams. So for those of you who are thinking about doing music business or any of the majors that require acoustics, there is a prerequisite for those. The course is LMSC 130, which is Concepts of Mathematics, and that can count as a liberal arts elective. Or you have the option to go to this URL, berkeley.edu/math-test, and you can take the general math exam. And the general math exam will cover you for data management and statistics and economics. And then if you need to do acoustics, you would have to do the math exam and the logarithms exam. So if you're considering either of those majors and you feel like you have a really good understanding and you don't want to have to take the prerequisite, which is Concepts of Mathematics, you can do the test out.
If you do plan to take the test, make sure to take it early because you don't want to do it and then have to wait to register.
Yeah. It takes about 2 to 3 business days for the results to post on your account, because if you try to register for the class now on the system, it won't let you. So it'll take about 2 to 3 business days for the system to recognize that you do have the 80% or higher on the general math and logarithms exams, and then you'll be eligible to register via My.Berkeley.
Okay. So great. Then the next part of building your schedule would be to explore major and elective courses. So specific majors may have courses that are essential for you to take in your second semester. The best example of this would be the Tonal Harmony and Composition, CM211, for film scoring. The film scoring major is really interesting in that you have to complete the tonal harmony sequence before you can really dive into any of the major courses. So get that major grid, find the second semester and kind of go down, and if you see in your major specific things, you really want to make sure you're taking that. And then if you're unsure, there's a bunch of different intro classes that you can take that are open to all as long as you have the prerequisites. So intro to film scoring, intro to music therapy, intro to music business. These are all really good courses that you could take to kind of see if this is really what you want to be doing. And if you decide, oh, I took this class, but I really don't like this major, that's okay, because it's going to go towards your general electives, so it's going to help you towards graduation requirements. Okay, so on your major grid, kind of how we discussed earlier, so here's second semester, this is music ed, and there's actually 4 credits worth of coursework that's showing up in your second semester. So you want to make sure that if that's your intended major, you're registering for those courses so that you can continue to work through the sequence. Okay, so great, so jazz comp, here we go. So no in this one, there's no required, but so say you already arranging 2 here is required and it's showing that you would take that in your 3rd semester, but if you tested into arranging 1 and you want to take arranging 2 in 2nd semester, that's totally fine. You can look for, to see if you're eligible to take those courses and if they're open, and you can kind of move forward that way.
All right, so a lot of you probably have a lot of questions about your major. Although we are experts in most majors, we would encourage you to meet with the major chairs. So you're typically expected to declare, so you would begin the application process in your 2nd semester. So for MPD and EPD, they have an actual separate application process, which would take place during the 2nd semester with the intent that you would officially be in the major in your 3rd semester. So we'd encourage you once again to start looking up what the requirements are for certain majors. So we know that for CWP, you need a B in Arranging 1, MTech 111, and Harmony 2. And then we also know that for majors like performance, there's an additional requirement. So just being mindful of what the entrance requirements are and that you're planning ahead, because you're not the only amount of students. Keep in mind that we have a whole nother set of students that will be beginning in the fall as well. So you just want to make sure that you're proactive and just getting basic understanding of what the requirements are, what the curriculum is, and how to be a successful student. And most major chairs have office hours, so if you just go on the department's webpage, you'll see what the office hours are.
All right, great. So completing your schedule, some additional courses to consider. For if there's any reason that you didn't take MTech 111 this semester or you had to withdraw, you could redo that. It is a graduation requirement, so if you haven't taken it, you do need to take it. The IL classes, instrumental labs, we talked about this before. You can do them for your major. There's also some really great courses. If you're really interested, you could do guitar for non-guitar principals or something like that. Another liberal arts class, there are quite a few liberal arts requirements. Between 39, it's around 39 credits that you have to do, so you could add another one of those. Get started on the tonal harmony, intro courses for a major, and then general electives, any eligible course not counting towards a graduation requirement already. So say you're like, man, I'm really stressed out and I want to take yoga for musicians. You could totally do that and it would count as a general elective requirement. Okay, so we're going to invite Matt up to the stage and he's going to talk about how to register using my.berkeley.edu.
Alrighty. So before we actually go to my.berkeley, the first thing that we probably want to do is to plan what the heck you're doing. So let's just go back on the,
Right.
thank you.
You know what, I'm going to let you.
Thank you very much. All right. Let's go back to this. Da-da-da. So on my Berkeley, if you guys have been on it, you should all have seen it. But if you haven't, why is that not on the thing?
You could drag that over to this way.
Brilliant. Okay, so my Berkeley look like that. And so before you register, you probably want to check when your time of registration is. So you click on the yellow registration and check-in profile. And when you click on it, you should be able to see a couple of things, which is not going to show up. So let me show you right here. Oh. Alrighty. Alrighty. Let's try that again. Brilliant. Okay. Login is on the top right. May I? Alrighty, so you click on the student thing, you click on the registration and check-in profile right here, and you'll be able to see when your assigned registration time is. So this was my registration time. That was April. That was last semester. But yours would say the same thing. You could also check for your academic advisor. So my academic advisor is Athena right there. And yeah, and you can also check for your starting term, and that would tell a lot of people what your catalog year is as well. So, and also a couple more things you can check on here if you'd like to check. Alrighty, let's go back to the first page. Bum, bum, bum. Oof, that didn't work. Alrighty, so you can do that. Check your time. So you want to do that before you register, because you want to know when your registration time is. And then on the same page, you could also see search and register for classes, which is where you actually go to register for your classes. You can also find your ensembles if you've got certain ensembles that you want to find and see which instrument they might need. Then you can click on browse ensembles, or you can browse for classes, which basically means that after you check it on berkeley.edu/courses, you also need to check here to see if it's open and who is teaching it and so forth. And then you go on to the search and register for classes page, which is this one. And you need to select fall 2019 because you're going to fall 2019. And you need to choose a subject. For example, if you're choosing Harmony, your Harmony 2, then click HR or Harmony here, and then type in your course number, which would be 112. There'll be you can find all these on the berkeley.edu/courses as well. Okay, and then you see this, and then you search the classes, and then you'll be able to see the course code and section code. The course code is basically what course you're choosing. The section is basically which class specifically you're choosing in the sense of time and teacher. So in the second one, for example, the teacher is Eric Byers, I'm pretty sure, and it's on Tuesday and Thursdays at 10 to 10:50. So if you chose one that said 112003, which is the next one, it'll be a different teacher. It might be a different teacher. And it'll be a different time, it'll be a different place. And also you need to check whether the classes are open or closed. Most of them, if you are just opening, clicking through and going through the default, the closed one would be gone. You wouldn't be able to see it. So show all open courses, you'll be able to see the open ones. The ones that has available seats would have a 1 or 2 or how many there are on the right-hand side. The left-hand side would tell you how many seats there are, and if there's 0 on the right-hand side, that means it's closed. And your credits and your term and your location, which you want to check is Boston, and all that stuff. Alrighty, so make sure you write down your course number and section number. That's very important because then you'd get the right teacher if you want the right teacher. Alright. So sometimes they look like that. You can make sure you check that. Okay. And when you plan it, just make sure you organize it really well. So on a piece of paper, you might want to write down everything like that. You can write down the teacher's name. You can write down the course code. You can write down the time and day. And make sure you've got multiple options so that if one's filled up, you can go to the next option and the next option if anything happens. And plan a couple on each class. Right. And I do this a lot. I put it on an Excel spreadsheet or a Google Calendar. So I like Google Calendar because you can just drag and drop things. So I do that. So make sure you try something like that. Or you can flip the page on your helpful tips and links, and there's a little timetable right there as well that you can use if you'd like to. Alrighty, so now we're going to my blog Berkeley, and I'm going to try and register for my classes. We'll go back to main menu. Make sure if you're going backwards, click main menu and do not click back, because then the whole website freaks out. Okay, so go students. So what we're going to do here is to try and make sure. So before you register, you also need to check that you don't have any restrictions, because if there are restrictions, you will not be able to register for next semester. So check that, and if you've got questions, you can always go and ask, okay? But I'm just going to go straight ahead and go into search and register for classes. And when I do that, I'm also going to show you that I can go search for classes on the berkeley.edu/courses. Alrighty. So let's say I wanted to take a songwriting class. I know it's SW, and I know that one is the second one. It'll be 222. Pretty sure. Okay, that's lyric writing 2. Aha! There we go. So required of songwriting majors. I'm not a songwriting major, but it's electable by all. So I'll be able to do it because I've done songwriting 1. And so I shall go back to my Berkeley. And I will choose term. Make sure it's fall right here. I'm going to go down. Type in SW for songwriting. Enter. And now it's songwriting. Course number is 222. And I don't want a class that's too early, so I'm going to go, okay, 12 o'clock. After 12 o'clock. And I don't want to come in on Friday, so I'll just choose Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and Monday. The thing is, when you click on these, make sure you click on the word, not the box, because this box looks like it's Tuesday, but it's actually Monday, okay? So make sure you click on the Monday, okay? And then I'm going to just show the open courses so I can see what I have to do. Click. Click once. Oh, looks like I forgot. Oh, looks like every class is closed. Let me just reduce that to nothing and see what happens. Alrighty, there's one class open with 1 seat. Oh. Great. So it's on Monday. It's 9 to 10:50. So I'm going to just click on this little box. Make sure I check everything, and then click submit once. And it should go. Oh, and then check that that's the one that you want. And then click submit one more time here. And it's going to load. Check your Facebook, check your Instagram, swipe a couple of things on Tinder. Okay. Kidding. All right. And now I am registered. So right here, it says I'm registered on that class. So that's great. And on the top, if you've got certain things, it will say, oh, warning. So right now I've got max over 16 credits, so I need to drop a couple of things. But that's how you basically register.
So what if somebody wants to deregister, like drop a class? How does it work?
Okay, so now that I've registered for something, I'm like, oh, I don't actually want it. So I'm just going to go back. And I'm going to basically unregister myself from that class. So I go to View and Change Schedule. That would show you all the classes that you're taking in current semester and fall, for anything in front. Yeah, so you'll be able to see your current classes and the classes later as well. So right now I want to drop lyric writing. So I'm going to click on that, and it says drop on the top. So I'm going to click on this, and then I'm going to go submit right here. Boop. And then do your thing again. And it's going to tick, 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 tick. Brilliant. The fastest internet in the world. All right. Now you have been deleted from the roster. So if you have dropped something, it will say yes, you have been able to do that. And that's basically how you change your schedule and deregister from yourself. Okay, let's go back to the thing. I think it's back to you guys.
All right. So, get academic advising help. So as academic advisors, we can review your current course choices, which wasn't really your choice, you were placed into them, but we can also talk about what you're going to choose for next semester. Explore majors and discuss plans. So it's really good if you want to come in and talk, we can think about what you want to do post Berkeley. Maybe you have like 3 different majors in mind, and we can kind of talk about some different ways that you can get the most out of your time here. And then we can also refer you to other campus resources. So, you might come in and say, Ariel, what's the difference between MP&E and EPD? And to be completely honest with you, I can't really go into that much more than just like reading the major page. So I would refer you to both of the chairs so that you could have a really good conversation with both of them, and then you could make a more informed decision. All right, so how to meet with your team. So we just went over on your my.berkeley.edu, that's where to find who your academic advisor is. Almost all of you should be in Lens this semester, so we've all come in and said hello. So you can go to berkeley.edu/advising-appointment, and right now we're only doing 30-minute appointments during our busy times, especially during registration. We will switch to 15-minute appointments. So you would want to use a 15-minute appointment if you already know kind of what you want to do. You just want someone to review it and say, yes, looks great. A 30-minute appointment would be if you're, have some questions, you're still on the fence about some things and you want more time to discuss. We also do daily drop-ins. They're usually from 1 to 3. And you can find the hours. This is a really long link, but if you go to just berkeley.edu academic-advising, everything's on the left-hand navigation. You can also send us a quick email, and then meet with your SAM. Go to their office hours. If you're not sure when they are, send them an email and ask. And then quick questions on how to use your my.berkeley.edu. They're a really great resource. So, if you know what you want to do, but you're like, wait, I just don't quite remember how exactly to register, your SAM would be a really good resource for that. All right, good luck, guys. And we will be here. We have some time, so if you have any questions, you want to talk to any of us one-on-one, please feel free to come up and ask, okay?